Certainly, it's a government failure to stop manual scavenging from taking place. In fact, there are government departments like Municipal Corporation of Delhi. We are in Delhi NCR region, which continues to employ manual scavengers to clean sewage. While by law these should be mechanized operations, and if at all human beings are supposed to use, there are circumstances where human beings might be needed to clean certain parts of sewage system. That's where they need to be given safety gears, which again we see missing often, and therefore headlines, we come across headlines of manual scavengers dead when they got down to the sewers and inhaled poisonous gas like methane or carbon monoxide. So it continues because of government apathy. It's a total failure of government. It's also a failure of the middle class, the middle class of society, which is supposed to uphold higher standards of civilization. They haven't raised their voice to eradicate this evil practice called manual scavenging. Thank you. It's a wonderful question because it takes us back to the origin of caste system. Unfortunately, we are part of a society where caste system persists, even with a lot of legal effort, lot of movement to shake it. Caste system has continued, and if we look at the beginning of caste system, we find that certain people in the society created a hierarchy where they graded some people as enjoying higher status, and some people were deprived of right to education, right to own property, and these people became the depressed classes. In the British, during the colonial period, we find references to such communities as depressed classes. Somebody who framed our constitution, Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, he came from one such class. He came from Mahar community in Maharashtra, which is one of such classes or one of such communities. So the beginning of manual scavenging can be traced to caste system, where certain communities were condemned to do the menial task, to do a task which will keep them at the bottom of the hierarchy, and they'll be looked down upon. Because in caste system there is also a theory of there is a principle of purity, or there is a notion of purity and polluted. Those who do menial job, those who do jobs of cleaning others, they become untouchables. So if we look at the caste system, we find some communities were condemned to be in this position. They were deprived of rights to live a dignified life, and that's why they resorted to these tasks which nobody else was doing it, and that became their livelihood. In democracy, this is something that is deplorable. So government has legally banned the use of or the practice of manual scavenging, but it's still prevalent because often municipal bodies, they employ individuals to do to clean sewage or such places, and therefore it continues. So there has to be severe punishment for government officials who employ manual scavengers. B, communities who have accepted manual scavenging as their hereditary profession, they need to be provided support. Their children should go to good quality schools, model government schools, and once they get educated, they will have better opportunities for livelihood. C, then the question is, who will do the job? So we are living in the time of technology. Machines can easily do those jobs of scavenging and cleaning in the sewage. So we have to show determination that we will not employ human beings to do it, because there is a loss of dignity. They become a taboo in the society. Nobody wants to sit with them, nobody wants to dine with them, nobody wants to study with their kids. So it becomes a perpetuation. It becomes a vicious cycle of poverty and loss of dignity. So there are different stakeholders, from government to civilized society to scavengers themselves, and everybody will have to play their role. true, you have rightly pointed out that technology alone cannot solve this problem because it's also a problem of, it's a challenge of mindset. Hindu society, if I could frame it like this, there are two categories: those who enjoy higher status and those who are condemned to live a subhuman kind of life. So those who are privileged, they will have to raise voices for the underprivileged. Unless that happens, unless the civilized society within India raises their voice that manual scavenging is a strict no, and their soul, their morality should feel shaken when they see instances of manual scavenging taking place. We have an activist who has worked very hard to eradicate manual scavenging, and I'm referring to Vezwada Wilson. He has won Magsaysay Award for his effort. He has raised this point that manual scavenging is not simply a problem of the manual scavengers. It's a national problem, it's a national issue. So those who are privileged, they must fight the battle for the underprivileged. And we must create opportunities for the children of the manual scavengers so that they can get trained, educated, as you said, and other opportunities for livelihood opens for them. They can become an IT manager, they can become a software engineer, they can become a school teacher like me. So unless those livelihood opportunities are open to them through education, this will not be resolved. And just to reiterate, change of mindset is very important. Those who are enjoying privileged position in society, they have to accept manual scavengers as their brethren. Thank you. It's a critical question that manual scavenging robs individuals of their dignity. They are no longer seen as human beings. I've seen images of manual scavengers neck dipped in sewage and cleaning them, and often these images are there as headlines or there in the newspaper or even in the digital media, and it does make us ask a question that we are thinking of becoming a superpower in the hierarchy of countries in the world. But if we look at a human resource and population, there is a section of population which is condemned to do this undignified job in the time of technology. It's very much possible that we can design, there are machines, often municipalities, they do not engage machines for higher cost and go for the easier and cheaper option of engaging human labor to clean the sewage. So it's a travesty of justice, it's undermining of democracy. Manual scavenging, essentially, it subverts democracy. Democracy means freedom for all, equal rights for all. But here is a community which has been condemned to do scavenging generation after generation. Their children don't have a hope for a brighter future. While the privileged section of society has continued to improve advancement in their standard of life, which is not for them. So it undermines democracy in a way that this democracy is a sham democracy only for the privileged section, where they have opportunities for advancement and not manual scavengers.
My name is Anurag. So we are part of Shakti Foundation. We started Shakti in 2010, and at that time it was meant to be a center for special children. By and by, over the years, we've kind of got into livelihoods and education and waste management as well. So in 2013 is when we started another entity called Gulmeher, which is basically an entity working with waste pickers and waste picker women who use waste material to make products which are eco-friendly and which can be used and sold to corporates, to individuals, to the people at large. So that's something that we've got the waste pickers out of the waste picking kind of livelihood into a more respectable, more acceptable uh, economic activity, and where they are actually earning as well as being safe. So while we were doing that, we also kind of got into the education of their children, along with financial inclusion, where we've kind of opened more than 4,500 bank accounts so that they are also part of the financial sector and not excluded. So it's obviously the whole exercise is to get down to the bottom of the pyramid, to make that impact at the ground level, and make sure that the people have a respectable livelihoods. Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the points, that although the waste picking livelihood is not that bad in terms of from the economic activity or the wages that they earn, even the wages that they would be earning from us, it wouldn't be hugely different or more than what they were getting earlier. But it is the whole the health part of it, as well as the health and safety, and the fact that it's not as say respectable in some ways. So that is an aspect which is overlooked, which are the softer aspects of I mean, a person could be getting that much money, but with impact on his health or her health. So that's something that's probably helped when they're working here. When they started working with us, a lot of them couldn't really sit for a couple of hours, and we had to train them to kind of be there and use those skills. But now a lot of the products that they're making are as good as design and artists. So yes, it has made an impact on their psyche, on how their outlook to life. Yeah, so a lot of times, I think what we've felt and seen with the women, with the artists that we have, while they are not the worst off or they're most comfortable, but they would definitely not want their children to be doing the same thing. So that is something that they were very clear, that we want our children to be kind of getting out of this, because it's not something that is a long-term thing. The children, yes, they have seen their parents be in that sphere, and with our limited kind of exposure to them over the last few years, they've managed to see aspects of education and some more exposure which they would otherwise not have had, whether it's to IT or even like what you are doing with them. I think that's something which they would never have had access to if they were just either with their parents or in whatever they're doing. So I think that's the biggest plus for them, that they are exposed to new ideas and folks such as yourself. If you're aware of this area, so there is a wholesale flower market which is right across the road here, where there's a lot of wastage of flowers. So a lot of the flowers which are not sold during the day are actually wasted or thrown away. So when we started, we actually started to provide them some alternative kind of livelihood. So this was something that they could use the waste flowers to make these beautiful products, which could then be marketed. So it was the waste flowers, it was the waste pickers, and it was then these sustainable products that you make. So it was a happy marriage, so to say. So I think that's a very good observation. I think a lot of people, when they started, like I said, they were uncomfortable even sitting for some time. But now a few of them have actually become, say, semi-designers. So we leave it to them that why don't you come up with some new design. I don't think it's a taboo topic. I think it's just waste pickers are invisible to us. So we see them every day. We can't survive without waste picking. If there is a general strike of the waste pickers for even a day or two, you'll see all the waste adding up by the side of your house, by your, wherever you're staying. So it's not as if it's taboo, but it's just invisible. You just kude wale ko de do, or it's thrown away. So there is no such thing as a way. You have to be conscious about what you're consuming and what you are kind of wasting in some way. And in a lot of ways now, people say that there is no such thing as waste. Everything can be
sustainably reused.
And that's what we've been trying. That including the packaging, including the products, from flowers, from paper, from cardboard, all of that can be reused. So I think conscious consumption is something that we are very conscious about. I think organizations such as ours are very grassroots, and when these buzzwords of scalability and replicability come in, so we are not really in the business of kind of being very big or kind of going across the country or across the world. We want to just make a difference at the ground level where we are.